my name is Rick Passek, the FlyFish Fanatic, and welcome to my tying bench. Today we'll be tying a pretty versatile pattern actually. I tie it in many different colors. It's a large pattern. It's about 4 inches long, something like that. I use it for bull trout, I use it for steelhead, I use it for larger trout, rainbow trout in rivers. It depends how you tie it, heavy, light, it's all up to you. Many different color schemes. I'll just show you a few of them here. Like this one here, there's no weight on it at all, right? And it's articulated. Yeah, that's what these are. They're articulated Marabou leeches, we can call it maybe. And then inside the articulation there, you can see that I've got some beads. Okay, that just helps keep it apart. Then there's the green version. I've done very well on for a bull trout on this version here. And it's got some fairly heavy bead eyes on it. Right now, this does have 2 hooks in it right now. I would snip this one off. Today, I'm actually going to be tying with a Waddington shank, so I won't have to worry about it. And this is the color scheme I'm going to be tying today, is the orange. Okay, and this one does have small small dumbbell eyes. This one I'm going to put a little bit larger on. So this is a little bit of a longer video because of that, but we'll get cracking here so we can make it. No, don't make it too long. So this is just a standard bait hook. It depends on the size you want, but this is a size 1 bait hook. So I'm just going to start my thread. This is a Semperfli Classic waxed in the fluorescent orange in a 8/0. So I'm just going to get a nice touching wraps base down to about there. Take my scissors, nip that off. Open wraps. I'm going to come back to the front. My tail material is just going to be rabbit Zonker strip. And I just got to figure out how long I want it. I like it usually about 2 to 3 inches past the bend of the hook, so about there. So right about there, I'm going to cut it off of the leather patch. And I'll just tie this right down. Lay this right on top. Tie it down fairly tight. If it turns on you, make sure you just leave it. Let this thing sit right on top. I want it to kind of almost wrap around the hook until I get back to there. So that's not bad there, you see there. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back over that again just to make sure it's tight. So now I'll take a couple of strands, only 2 strands of the Semperfli Gala red blend. Okay, I'm just going to take a couple of strands of this. I don't want too much here. There's going to be enough flash in this later on. So just going to lay that roughly the length of the tail. I'll come back a little bit so I can double this over. Just lay it on top, flip it over, lock that down, get that to about the length of the tail. So right about there, I want to just nip that off. I don't want it sticking past the tail. Okay. Then I've already cut a piece of the rabbit off of my leather and put it into my material clip. So now I'm just going to come forward a little bit. And I'm going to do a dubbing loop. Lock my dubbing loop down. Go once around, twice around my dubbing loop, and lock it down again. Just to make sure that dubbing loop doesn't come out on us, right? Come to the front. Gonna do a quick, even though this is waxed thread, do a quick wax. Take my, oops, I'm gonna put my spinner. I tried to get everything prepared so this wouldn't take too long of a video. I don't want no 30-minute long video, but it'll be what it is, right? So, so I got my dubbing spinner. I really actually quite like these really cheap ones. They work really well. But that's just my taste, right? Everybody's got their taste. So lock this, I didn't like how that sat in there. Get that in onto your thread, let it go. Let a good spin. I'm just giving that a spin up. Okay, and if it kind of, you see up here how it's kind of caught a little bit, just pick that out. Just lightly. I'm just using the brush portion of it. I'm just picking it out, just lightly. And then I'll give it a bit of a spin again, just to make sure. Like that, that's pretty good. Okay, and now I'm just going to wrap this forward, and I'm going to stroke my material back each time. So I want this material to lay back, and in touching wraps, come forward. Right. So now I could have used a little bit more there, but that was the full length of my clip. So now I'm just going to stroke that out. Make sure that nothing's caught. Okay. Let's get rid of that fluff that's on there. So now I'm going to take one of my orange marabou feathers, and I'm going to tie this in by the tip. So I'm going to open this up. I'm just going to expose my tip there and tie this in by the tip. Okay. Sometimes I'll put the marabou here. Sometimes I would have just put a little bit more of the rabbit. It just depends on what I'm going for. So now I just want to make sure that every time I go around, I'm only going to go 4 or 5 turns here at the most. So I just want to make sure that all my material is stroked back. I really like using these two ingredients, rabbit and marabou, because they just flow so well. Right? And don't worry about if some of this stuff gets caught right now. It'll get all brushed out in a bit here. I don't like the way that one was twisting in. Come back one. Key here is just make sure that you're getting it to go in all the way, right? Like that it's going backwards, sorry. That's the key here. And you can see that it looks a little bunched up there. Don't worry about it right now. We'll get rid of that in a second. I'm just taking some of that extra off so I can tie it down in by the center stem. So locked in, pull. Do 2, 3 more good wraps there. Then I'm going to take my center stem and I'm actually going to lay it back and do 2, 3 more wraps in front. Cut off that center stem portion. And now I'm going to take my brush again because it looks a little ratty. Take my brush again and I'm just going to pull that all out. The nice thing with that rabbit underneath, when you do the marabou here, the rabbit holds its shape really well, so it keeps that shape for that marabou, right? And this will really pulsate in the water. Okay, so that's it for this portion of this half of the fly. So this is done. So I'm just going to do a good whip finish here. Do a second set whip finish here. Lock that. Take my Sally Hansen's. Stroke all the material back there. Just give it a quick touch with your Sally or whatever head cement you like using. And that portion of the fly is done. So that's, as you can see, lots of movement in that fly, right? So that's the back half. So just set that on the side for a minute. Now I'm going to take my Waddington shank. I'm going to put my Waddington shank in. Now, like I said, I'll use a long shanked hook as well with this instead of a Waddington, but it all depends, right? So now I'm going to take some fire line. In this case, it's only 10 pound. I actually like using 15 or 20, but 10 is all I've got right now. And I'm going to take some glass beads. These are just the orange glass beads. I'm going to take 3 or 4 of them out. Usually I do 4, so let's try that and see how that goes. Okay. And then I'm going to start my thread on my shank here. Now normally I'd have this Waddington shank turned like this flat, but I don't want this I don't want the vise in your guys' face, right? So I'm just going to do it this way. It's fine. So really tie that down. Now I could just hook it into there, but I don't. I like doing it this way better. I find that it's more secure. I could just do a loop the hook through, and then could have gone into that open, and that's it. But I don't like doing that. I actually like tying this right in. So I'll just do another quick forward and back and forward again. And now I'll take just a little dab of crazy glue and put it right onto there. And it's actual crazy glue. So any instant glue like that will work. And just tie on your this is for your trailer. I'm going to go right back, make sure that's nicely tight in there. And get that closed really nicely. Oh, just broke my thread. Let's get that back on. I'm trying to crank too tight. So used to using the nano silks, but I want that real fluorescent of the classic waxed here, of this floral. So, all right. So now I'm going to take my glass beads, get that feather out of the way, and for me, because I'm blind in one eye, this is the toughest part, feeding these buggers in. That's one. That's 2. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos that I've been putting up, and I hope you guys are subscribing. That every bit helps, right? So, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying them, and if you guys have any requests, please let me know. So then now I'm just going to hook on that, put this through the other one, and now this, like I said, this is the hardest part. Now I've actually got to go back through those beads, right? Now that I've gone through I've got the hook on, I got to go back through each one of those beads while it's already on there. So this can be a little bit of a challenge, but usually not too bad. So once you get one on, just slide it. Usually they'll go over top in it fairly easy. They're not always perfect, but ooh, that slid on me. Let's see if I can do that again. It's kind of holding that stuff down and getting it to line up, and then getting those beads up and over. It's being a bit of a bugger on me, for me, but it is what it is. See if if I can get this up in your guys' view a little bit better. So there's this end. And one more. Come on, one more. Come on. Get in there, yellow bugger. There we go. So that's all 4 of them. Now I'll pull this so it goes nice and tight. I want it right up against the back of that shank, right like that. Right about there. I just want it sitting behind. So then I'll lay this on. Lock this in all the way back, and then all the way forward again in loose wraps. Just open wraps here all the way. Now this time I'm going to go all the way forward, and I'm actually going to take this and go through the eye of the Waddington. Come on. And underneath the Waddington. So I'm actually going to flip it like that. There and now. And doing this back and forth like this, it just helps to make sure this doesn't pull out, especially when you're using, like, especially the fire lines and stuff. These braided lines can be pretty slippery, and that's the main reason I use the crazy glue, and I go through a couple of times like that. I keep hitting that step, cutting off my thread. Trying to go a little too fast, trying to make sure I get this done at a reasonable time, but you know what? The hell with it. That's gonna do it right. Gonna build that up just a bit right there so that sharp edge is buried. Come back a little bit, and then I'm gonna one more time. I've got enough, so might as well come back one more time. Just gonna open wrap it, and then once I get to the front here, I'll take my scissors. I'll cut that off, and I'll re-secure. Make sure that's all good and tight. So that's that. Alrighty, so just going to readjust this camera a bit for you guys. See, there we go. So it's a little bit more in the middle. So now I start tying the front fly. Okay, and as you can see here, the front fly starts off right away with a little bit of the Marabou, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually change that up a bit because I found that this works a little bit better. Is I'm going to do a dubbing loop right here at the back, and then just come forward out of my way. I'm gonna put my dubbing spinner back in there. And I've prepared a little bit more of the rabbit off of the leather there. Give it a good spin. Let the spin up. Same thing. Just brush it out. Make sure it's. Actually, I'm just going to do one thing here. I got to figure out where I put them. These things come in really handy for when you're tying these women's hair clips. So when you're tying a fly like this, you can actually just clip it out of the way and it stays back then. Okay? So, just so I don't keep getting jammed with that hook. So, same thing. I'm right here. All I'm going to do is right at the back end here, I'm going to build up a bit of a ball. Now, I could have used dubbing. But again, I find that this works really, really well, and it adds to the fly. So just going to come back and make sure that's locked really well. Hold that back, come right up to it, nip off that excess from the dubbing loop. And now I'm going to get a feather. Again, I'm going to tie this in by the tip. Fold that back over just so you get that. The tip is a little on the brittle side, so you want to make sure you've folded that over. Okay, and same thing as I did on the back end. Just going to make sure every time I go around that everything is stroked back. And I want to start right up against that dubbing ball, or that ball that I created there. Okay, so, and I just want to stay close to that. I don't want to come forward too much. I mean, obviously you have to come forward because you don't want to be on top of it. You want to be right in front of the last turn. Just going to get rid of some of this fluff on here in the back end. Come to the top, and I'm going to lock that in. Lock it, lock it, lock it, lock it. Fold that stem back. Put it in front several times. Nip off that stem. In a way, this is kind of repetitive, but works really well. Lots and lots of movement. Okay, a couple of strands of flash. This time it can be a little bit longer. Actually, you know what? The easiest way to do this so it is even is to just hook it onto your thread and line it up so it's even. Yeah, there, that's good. Bring it to the top and tie it down. There you go. Because you want it to be long. You don't want it only to be as long as this tail. It can go further as long as it doesn't go past the back tail, which it won't. Okay. So now I'm going to take some of the Semperfli Extreme string in black and orange. Make sure you expose and get up that center core so you can tie it in properly. Come forward, leave about 5-6 mil at the front. And then I'm just going to wrap this forward. Touching wraps, stroking back every time. All this stuff wants to be stroked. You want this to stroke back every time. Touching wrap, next one, touching wrap. And like I said, I do this with in green, so I'll use the green extreme string. And then in the blue, I don't think I used the extreme string. I used a different brand because I didn't have the blue version of this. Like I said, this stuff's got, it's not super flashy, but it's got lots of that flash type property in it, right? So it's kind of cool. Okay, so now I'm going to come one more there, and I'll lock that in. Lock it in, lock it in. Push that all back, lock that down. Nip off your excess. Oh, by the way, these are great for pike as well. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. These work really well for pike. Again, something I do a lot with these flies is I brush them out, make sure nothing's caught, right? So, okay, now I'm going to take another feather out of my Marabou. Here, that looks like a decent one right there. Use a decent Marabou when you're doing this. You want lots of movement, so you don't want to have really crappy Marabou that's stiff, right? So use a decent Marabou. I'll probably go a little bit less than that. So I've just stripped it off just so I have a grip area and I know that that's where I'll tie in. Tie it back like at the end, that's where I'll tie it down. Again, expose my tip. See which way the naturally wants to lay is that way, so I'm going to go with that down because it naturally wants to lay back this way, so use it, right? Dip off that center tip. Okay, and same thing, just stroke it all back. One wrap, stroke it all back. And again, if you got some caught, don't worry about it. You'll be able to brush that out once it's done. But try your best not to get it all caught. Right? 2. Get one more turn. One more turn out of it. That's good. 3. Lock it in. 4 or 5 turns in behind, 4 or 5 turns in front and over that stem. Okay. Again, brush that out. Make sure that's all brushed out. And a couple more strands of the flash, 2, 3 this time. Even 4, wherever you can grab. Don't have to be too picky here. But. And this time I'm going to try to tie it on either side. So I'll go start on your side, which is the up side, right? And then I'll bring it over here. And I'll tie it on my side, which is the down side, right? The bottom of the fly. Actually, it'll be the top of the fly once I get the dumbbell eyes on, right? Because it'll be like this. That's how it's going to end up sitting. But we will give that another brush. Again, it just adds a little bit of flash, and almost like a lateral line, right, to it. So, but not quite because it's on the top and bottom. I mean, I could have tried it on the sides to make it like lateral, but okay. Then now I have 2 choices. I do want to put dumbbell eye on this one. I want this one to be heavy. I mean, I don't have to. Okay, where'd my dumbbell eye go? Well, maybe I don't have a choice. Maybe I won't if I can't find my dumbbell eye. I'm just going to put a red dumbbell eye on. Pull another one out. It's not a very big one, but it is just adds a little bit of weight. Right? So a couple of turns that way, a couple of turns that way. Figure 8 it just to lock that down. Oops. That's good. It's locked down pretty good. So now I've got a little bit of a gap there between there and there, right? Between the eye and the. So now I've got a couple of choices. I could put more Marabou on. I don't want to do that. I could put on another piece of this, and that's what I will do. Or I could put some dubbing in there. Okay, some UV ice dubbing or something like that, and then pull it out. That'll give the head area a bit of a flash, right? But in this case, I'm just gonna put more of this Zonker into my material clip. Cut it off the leather. Okay. So now that, because this is kind of wanting to hang, I try to just lift this stuff, anything I can. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to make it easier on myself here. Keep all this out of the way. There we go. Just another one of those hair clips. Just keeps all that stuff out of the way. So now, another dubbing loop. On my spinner, I find that doing this finishes the fly up. It just makes it look really good at the end here. Okay, and then again, keep it all back. Could have went with a slightly bigger set of dumbbell eyes, but for where I'm going to be fishing, I don't want this to go down too deep, so I didn't want to put too big of a dumbbell eye on. So put a whip finish in. Another whip finish in, and then I'll let go of these hair clips and you guys can see the finished product. Let that hair clip go, let that hair clip go. Brush that out, get that rabbit. Sometimes I'll use fox as well if I had, like if I was tying one that's on a color that I have in fox, then I would. But okay, so there's the finished fly. I'm going to switch over to the other camera and hold that for you guys so you guys can see it a little bit better. Webcam, there you go. So that is the finished fly. Okay, so lots of flash. Lots of little pieces of flash in it, lots and lots of movement, that articulation. Let's see if I can focus that a bit better for you guys if I hold it close. There. So lots of articulation in that fly, right? That back end will move really nice. As you can see, when you blow on it, you know, just lots and lots and lots of movement on that. So there's your finished fly. Alrighty. Well, I hope that wasn't too long for you guys. Hope you guys stuck it around to the end. And like I said, you can tie these in many different colors, many different lengths, many different styles, right? So just play around and tie them to the color of fish that you're going after. I mean, like I know this one is deadly for coho. It's really good for bull trout. These here I found pike just love these orange ones. Pike actually love the green ones as well. This can be good for coho. This can be good for bull trout. Can be good for chinook. It depends what you're going for, right? So it all depends. And I know bulls will like this orange as well. Sometimes I'll put a little bit more black in it because orange and black the bulls like. So, alrighty. Well, tight lines, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that. And if you've subscribed, thank you. If you have not, please consider doing so. And we'll see you guys on the next tying video. Tight lines, everyone.